Hey guys, Japhet here with another two-player blitz video between myself and khyung. This is a game we played in the Weekly Duel tournament that happens every week, every Sunday. So this was yesterday that I played this game. I did skip over I did not actually record the first turn, which is where I got library and he got hippo plus a yellow. And so we're starting this out on the second turn. And shortly I'm going to show you the board, what we're looking at here. Just a second, I'm going to see it, and there it is. Okay, so here's the board. I already have library, and he has hippo. And then age one, notably, we have Columbus, who I'm always trying to be aware of if I need to think about holding on to the territories. Nostradamus is in play. Himeji, St. Peter's, Universitas. So yeah, those are kind of the key things I look at next. And I don't really look at the age 2 and 3 that much, except for ocean liner service, and ocean liner is in this game. So we don't need to go crazy over irrigation because selective breeding, there's not as much of a hate pick there. Anyway, moving on with the game. This is turn 2. And I go ahead and grab Engineering Genius and Alexander. And then I got the mine. Now I probably should have elected Alexander there. I probably should not have increased pop. Just elect Alex and don't play an event. But mistakes were made. I also believe I made a mistake on this turn too, and where I could go Alex, build the lab, increase pop, and then grab a yellow. That's one option. But instead, I decided to work on my library, and the problem with that is it got me into some corruption issues later on, as you'll see. And I grabbed what did I grab here? Oh, and I grabbed Frugality thinking that I wanted Knights. If you see where Knights is, I'm going to pause it for a second again. If you see where Knights is, if I don't do anything, if I don't grab Frugality, if I grab Urban Growth instead, then Knights can fall into the 6th spot for me. And I just didn't want that to be an option for khyung. If he wanted Knights, he can take it for 2, or he can leave it to me for 1, which I will grab if I draw anything that needs a Knight, which I don't. So, yeah, that's why I did that. Frugality. Back to khyung. He's got Coliseum going, which is a great wonder. I haven't played that wonder in a long time. I don't know why, but I just haven't had the chance to get it. But I've definitely been beaten by it recently. Development of crafts. So, yeah, more corruption issues coming in for me, as you can see there. I do have Crusades and, Knights may be coming. I do have Nostradamos possibly coming. So I have a potential setup there with Crusades and potentially drawing more weaker Civ type events. He goes for Masonry, which I thought was interesting. That was the first interesting play that I saw by him to take Masonry. And yeah, he does have a wonder that he's got unfinished. But yeah, I don't know. I've never seen, usually don't see that prioritized as much. I'm considering here now going with Alex and, see what happens if I go pretty aggressive, because I do have an aggression and a tactic with Alex. And that can be pretty brutal. That can be pretty nasty. But I would have to, I don't know. I figured I do have Crusades. I saw Nostradamus play here. And yeah, I ended up not doing that. So I ended up getting Alex out of there, using his political action to get the yellow. Grabbing Nostradamus. I have, pretty much fixed corruption at this point, but I had to not elect Nostradamus in order to fix corruption. So not ideal at all, but that's what I went with anyways. Now politics gets me Reign of Terror. So that's another great card for Nostradamus to play. Foray is also in there, but that's not so good because you can't take advantage of Nostradamus there. But Reign of Terror is that the weakest population loses the weakest Civ loses a population. So he's gone and played Fighting Band. When you have 3 extra cards in your hand, it's often done that you'll just play some throwaway tactic just because your hand's so full. And again, I'm struggling with the corruption. I want to get Code of Laws for sure. It's a great first tech. But I also have, I want to get irrigation and iron. I'm kind of concerned about iron. I mean, here's the thing is he can hate pick the second iron for 2, and then I don't have iron. So kind of an awkward card row right now. And just kind of luck of a draw of when that might happen is if both irons come out at the same time that you just might have to pick the first one for 2 or else risk not getting one at all. And that's what I do. I risk not getting it here. Code of Laws does help with getting more rocks, of course, through the yellow cards. Still haven't elected Nostradamos, unfortunately. I just haven't had that extra CA to get me out of corruption and elect him at the same time and get all the text that I wanted. I mean, it just hasn't been a priority, unfortunately. Khyung has Joan of Arc in front of him. I believe he does go with Joan here. And Engineering Genius, great row for him, really. Great Wall, maybe not so great here for him. He doesn't go with Great Wall. But he also doesn't take Engineering Genius. Just didn't quite have the actions. This is another tough turn for me because I do want Himeji. I do want to elect Nostradamus, finally, because we're looking at the event deck and Reign of Terror is in there. And so I definitely want to get, the strength sorted out. Nostradamus being part of that. And Himeji, and, I want to do it all. I want Engineering Genius. It'd be great, but it's hard to do everything and take care of corruption. And that's kind of what I was really struggling with in this first age. So let's see what I ended up going with here. I think I ended up, okay. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty unlikely to be weaker next turn, and I can play Crusades. Khyung plays Historic Territory and reveals Immigration. She has 1 happy face, so Khyung is able to get a free pop out of that. I did leave Monarchy at 2 CA for Khyung. Kind of by accident, honestly. I wasn't really trying to do that, but I do try to count. I do before I hit end turn, I'll count how many things are going to be 1 CA for my opponent, and do I really want that 5th one to be there for them? And I do try to do that in general, but sometimes it doesn't even change my action. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's worth it. I know he gets the best card in the game for 1 CA, but I needed to do that. In this case, it worked out for me to leave him at Monarchy at 2. He gets up to where he's at 7 strength with a 4th warrior there. So of course I'm going to play an event. I play Crusades, revealing Scientific Breakthrough. And my top priority now is getting into Iron, because sooner the better with that. The sooner you can get into that, the more it'll return. And then it's just a question of what do I do with these 2 extra CAs? What do I grab? There's Frugality, there's Monarchy, there's Reserves. Now, Reserves, the unfortunate thing would be that would give him Universitas, which I happen to think is a great wonder, especially if you're, if you don't have any other science boost, you're still on the 2 philosophy. And he had, I think he has Iron going, or he had Iron in hand. So, but I decided no, Reserves is worth it because I wanted to be ready for the possibly needing the extra pop, playing Reserves for the 2 food, and just being ready for any kind of corruption issues that I might have if I didn't have the right amount of food. Because he has that decision of he can let me be in age 1 still, or he can end the age. It's kind of up to him as to whether the age is over or not. I believe I have 3 food at this point. So Reserves was pretty high priority. Iron, yeah, he does have Iron in hand. Okay, so he actually goes with St. Peter's Basilica. and get stronger than me. Stronger than even Nostradamus is +3. So I know that Reign of Terror is still in there. Whoops. Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to do. Shoot, I gotta go in 5 minutes. All right. Well, I gotta split this video up. But anyway, I gotta call in 5 minutes. But anyway, back to my turn. I'm thinking here about strength for one, so I do get stronger with the 4th infantry there. And then it's a question of, do I go for the iron upgrade or for the farm upgrade? I went for the iron because I was able to increase pop there for 3. Or was it 4? Anyway, no, it was 3. And so I went for iron just because I thought that, I was at a good place with my yellow bank, and I didn't really need food right away. I was not really, because I would have a happiness issue anyway. My next population would be discontent. So that's why I prioritized iron there. And with that, we start age 2. Scientific Method is the first card out the gate. He plays Rebellion. And the next event will be Reign of Terror. Now, does he know that? No, he doesn't know that, because although he's Joan, he doesn't know the next event because he only knows the top event. So I know that event because I played it, and he knows that there's probably some strength-based event because he hasn't seen that for me. I don't know. It's just, I would guess that, and I think he does. He's probably aware of that, but he doesn't try to get stronger. Unfortunately, I don't have an event to play. But also, if you'll notice, he didn't do anything with the card row that would put Scientific Method in the 2 CA slot. So he's leaving Scientific Method for 3 CA for me, which I thought was a pretty good decision on his part. Whether conscious or not, I think, there was a good chance it was. And that, because we both want that. It's a great first card to grab out of age 2. So with age 2 well underway, let me pause this game and just tell you guys a little bit more about what this is. This is a weekly duel game, and what this is it's a weekly tournament where we play one blitz game, 2-player blitz game, every Sunday at 11 p.m. UTC. What time that is in your time zone, you might have to look that up. But if you go to the tournament page, there's a link that you can click, and it'll tell you what time that is in your time zone. So if you're interested in this, it's just a 1 game a week, and it's about a 1-hour game, live blitz, which are typically between 40 to 60 minutes. And the winner of the game will go to the next level, and the loser will go down to the level below. Much like Transcontinental Ladder, if you guys are familiar with that, that's the ladder I ran previously, which has now been handed off to Brent. This is like that, except it's 2-player, and it's live blitz. And so there's 1 game a week. Now we have 14 players. This is the second round, Group 2. And the winner of this will go to Group 1, and that's where you want to be. So if you're interested in that, head over to the tournament page on the website for CGE, and you'll see it. It's a public tournament. And make sure that the time works for you every week, and if it does, please sign up. All right, so getting back to the game here. We're starting age 2 now. I did grab Scientific Method for 3, as I said before, and definitely want to get back, get into that. I'm going to have 7 slants next turn, so I'll have that opportunity. I also want to think about strength, though, with Reign of Terror here. We're going to see how Khyung reacts. He's not going to see Reign of Terror, see how he reacts, and what that means for me on my turn. Rifleman's there. That's a 1 of in 2-player, but we both have Swordsman research, so it's not too interesting to either of us. Maria, also not really something that either of us are going to need or want to pick up at all. So really the only thing, I guess Ocean Liner. Ocean Liner is definitely, it's early enough. I think that it's definitely something that either of us could pick up since we're both into iron. Revolutionary Idea, of course, another big one. Another big card coming up. He does go for the strength there, as you saw. So he's at 11 strength. And at this point, yeah, I could go for 12. So, and it's not going to cost me much. I already got my science upgrade. As for what else I do have the 3 actions left. I can't take Ocean Liner. No, Revolutionary Idea is definitely interesting for Khyung. That's something I could hate pick for him. Or, I don't think I need that much. Or Efficient Upgrade would be great for me because that would help me get into Scientific Method. So that was a hard choice for me here between those two. I was thinking about how badly does he need revolutionary idea? How badly do I need um, the other one? So I went with revolutionary idea, and then the last action was to play reserves for some rocks. So I did leave him with ocean liner. I wasn't going to take that because I would have, well, I guess that was possible. Finish Meji, take ocean liner, but I wanted to get into strength and science at the same time, so I did that. He goes with organized religion, which only Joan can do that. Get some strength for happy faces like that. And at this point, she's out of reach. I say she because it's Joan. But yeah, Joan just took off, and now what am I going to do? I got to give up the strength game. I mean, it is going to cost me. So here I have to upgrade my farms to kind of offset that. I'm able to get into Republic thanks to picking up that revolutionary idea. So that worked out pretty well. And then it's a question of what do I do with these last two actions? It's a pretty reasonable choice. Get into the farms. Wave of Nationalism, of course, always a good choice. I don't need the second farm upgrade, so I can do one, then I'll be at 2 food next turn, and then do the other and be at 4. And that's fine. That's just as fast as if I were to do 2, and then, it's going to eventually get me an extra food that'll someday matter. But I don't need both those upgrades right now. I just need one of those upgrades. So I took Wave and was fortunate enough to draw the fortifications. Of course, he's well aware that Renater is the top card and definitely is motivated to play into that. So I will lose a population next turn, which is unfortunate. Goes for even more strength here, so even more pressure. I'm going to have to do something about that. I do have strategy. So there's that option. Crusades, I just ate that, so I lost 4 points and you gained 8. But I think that was worth the event I just played. So we got cannon, definitely getting into cannon. This is kind of another tricky turn where I got several options as to how I can make up the strength difference, but I only have 8 science, so I can't do all of them. I have to choose between the options here. It's nice that I do have a lot of civic actions, so a lot of flexibility there. Selective breeding, pretty strong hay pick because he never did pick up irrigation, so I don't mind spending 3 on that because that really could set him back. I do want that second farm upgrade, as explained before, so that's a priority. And then, yeah, so strategy alone is enough to make up the strength difference. Of course, Himeji and strategy, it's a little overkill to be honest. As is Newton when you have 8 civic actions. Yeah, I was aware that I saw him play that as Nostradamos and I just haven't had time to pick up any happiness. And plus, with 8 CAs, I'm not too worried about rebellion. Not such a big deal. Next up is historic territory. Going to be looking, interested in the science upgrade next. It's definitely something I want to do pretty soon. It's not a top priority. Also want to get into these cannons. So historic gives me an opportunity to put these guys to good use, but he does have cartography, so I'm still not able to quite use these swordsmen. So I'll go ahead and disband. Did I disband? I think I disbanded. Yep, I go ahead and disband a sword and play fortifications, and that gets me a pretty good lead on him as far as strength. He's about to lose Joan, so I have infiltrate and raid. So we're gonna see what he does in response. I'm definitely gonna need some happiness. Team sports is there, and that's great, but I already have a temple, which I built in preparation for rebellion. So organized religion just looks a little bit better for me in this case. Really don't need cavalryman. So the reason I take it though is I might draw a H3 tactic. It's not a super high priority, but there's been many times when it's been right in front of me. I didn't take it and I regretted it later because I drew a good tactic. But fortifications, I'm already pretty set on tactics. I don't think I'm going to have any issues with strength. Especially because I took selective breeding and he's pretty far behind on that, on the food income. So there he is at 8 strength, and he has a couple options. He could take Nobel for 2 strength. So here's an interesting decision. Do I throw 2 at it or 1? 2 swords or 1? He wins another one. Unfortunately, I only bid up to 4. Probably should have bid up to 5 with anticipating him winning, but then I would have knocked out a boat out of his hand. But I didn't think about that. And of course, he drew tons of boats. Well, a ton of cards with that, a ton of H3 cards. So that was an unfortunate loss and an unfortunate decision on my part to not go to 5. He's still down by 10 though, with only 3 MA, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 3. So if he drew a boat and he had a boat from H2, then he's safe. But then he's got to think about Himeji and that potential. That's +3 potentially. It's really no sacrifice for me to lose a swordsman. So it's really 12 is what he's looking at, that kind of gap. So anyway, yeah, Catherine could help with that. Alfred Nobel could help with that. Catherine will help him keep some of the cards that he just drew and get points, of course. But Nobel, I don't think his science is looking too good. I don't remember what his science was, but we're probably gonna flip back to that in a second. He started taking a long time for this turn, understandable given his situation here, and given the fact that he has a lot of cards to look through and discard. Now terrorism is playable here. I am down by about 15 points, And yeah, his science is pretty bad. I'm down by about 15 points. So yeah, it's playable. It does, however, put me in that awkward position of needing to catch up but not wanting to catch up too soon. And I'm kind of more. I have these other aggressions. I have a potential for military kind of play style. And when you play terrorism and then go military, it really slows down the event deck for both sides. Neither player is going to play a lot of events. So then terrorism ends up coming out way too late. So it's it's definitely an option, but it's going to be involve a play style that's different from what it looks like I'm going for here. Let's see. I don't remember what I did. I'm pretty sure I played an aggression at this point. Yeah, infiltrate will get his Suez Canal, or I suppose I could have gone for the other thing, the leader. Now I didn't sacrifice anything there because I did the math, and he has 4 MA, and it just wouldn't have made the difference. Like he would have had. See, he had 12. He had 12 either way. No need to sacrifice a warrior for no reason. I get into the organized religion a little bit. A little bit. I mean, as much as you can get into organized religion, and that leaves me with a couple actions left. Definitely Iron Multimedia. Alfred, what's his name? Einstein. Einstein's in the game, and so multimedia is definitely an option here. And of course, always good to pick up some yellows. Multimedia, I'd be able to get into that next turn, and possibly even I haven't done the math at this moment, but I might even get another cannon. Is that what I do here? Because I'm definitely thinking multimedia, but I'd also like to keep the strength thing going. I have the raid. I've just knocked out 2 boats out of his hand, so I kind of have to choose: do I try to go for multimedia next turn, or do I try to go for the strength? So I go for the strength, and I'm gonna go freedom of movement. See, I don't know if I played that. I can't remember. Yeah, I did. I did play that. That was the one I played that triggered Crusades, I think. And I did that because I think I had fortifications, and I thought, yeah, this would be a great way to get my swordsman over to cannons. Gandhi shows up with Einstein. So 2 really big cards. I want Einstein. He's not going to be able to use Einstein unless he gets computers right now. But what he's suffering from is he doesn't have a whole lot of actions. And he has 5. He did get Justice System pretty recently. And he's trying to do a lot of things. He's trying to do Suez. He's trying to get into scientific method. He's got a full hand, so he can't take anything unless he plays something. So he's got a few bottlenecks that are holding him back at this point. Plus, he has maybe no more boats, and he's down in strength, and so there's a lot of pressure on him right now. He is ahead in points, as you can see here, about 20 points up, and doing on par with me on the rocks resources. But I'm getting 7 more science per turn. Plus, I have 8 actions to his 5, so it's looking like it's in my favor at this point. Now, Mandela has to be tempting to him. I mean, did you see his happy bank is full? He has St. Peter's. He's got the religion. Look at that, 8 happy faces. No food coming in. Ooh. And yeah, here I said Nelson looks tempting. I mean, that's what more do you want for Nelson, really? But he goes Gandhi, which that was probably a good choice. Assuming he didn't have any boats in hand and he was going to face aggression. But yeah, what are you going to do? You gotta defend yourself, and it does give you some culture and kind of frees things up. Kind of frees up that one bottleneck, which is the military. I can't send the aggression at him because I don't have 5 MA. So at this point, I built in this turn, as you can see, I tried to move that swordman over to cannon, thinking, okay, let's go for the strength anyways. That was more momentum because that's what I was going to do. But then I realized, no, wait, I'm going to need some more food. So I moved the swordsman over to irrigation instead. And I thought, you know what, let's just be stronger, and not going to worry about the aggressions. And although I played freedom of movement for the cannon, I'm just going to abandon that and go for economy instead. And so that's what I do. I get the multimedia all ready to go. Commit to that. National Pride. He does get that, unfortunately. I think he's still up. Yeah, he's still up like by 20 points or something, or maybe 15 by now. He's got Suez halfway done. Now, if I remember correctly, he finishes Suez but doesn't have a territory. Never Nelson, Gutenberg, worst expansion. Nelson and Gutenberg are the worst in his opinion. Yeah, so chooses not to use a territory. So he was just getting Suez for the 2 rocks, apparently. Or maybe to hate pick it from me, or maybe he was hoping to draw something. Anyway, he didn't do a colony there. What was that? 4 rocks to me and 6 rocks to him. So definitely going to help me get into this multimedia. And as you can see, I grabbed, I believe that's fast food. Yeah. Democracy. Now, with democracy, I suddenly have enough MA. I have 5 MA. But honestly, I didn't realize that when I researched it, that I have now enough MA to attack him with these 2 cards. A raid, and I think it's a armed intervention. So my mind is still on economy, points, science. Let's get the science thing going. I'm trying to redo my turn now. I definitely wanted to get fast food. I knew that part, but I'm just kind of reprioritizing here. I'm trying to see what it is that I really need the most. Fast food, democracy, definitely top priorities. And then And then from there, I do have this one action, looking at corruption. So I go ahead and eat the corruption because I wanted to get into the movies and, excuse me, I wanted to do all the things. So corruption it is. Impact of architecture, it's going to make me want to build more movies and such, of course. Impact of culture, great card for my position. I have 10 culture per turn to his 5. And yeah, I mean, I could see him catching up in architecture, especially with 8 rocks per turn. But his science is where he's still really struggling here. He needs to get that science fixed. Of course, it is pretty much the end of the game. He doesn't have a lot of room left. He might have, this is, he has 2 more turns after this. So his options for points right now are going to be internet. Not really. Internet's not that great right now for him. Manhattan's not that great for him. I think those are the only 2 wonders left. And so, yeah, he's going to have to make the best use he can of those rocks, which I think would be with operas. Let's see what he does here. Okay, with Ravages, he takes out the St. Peter's Basilica and then builds a second organized religion. He didn't want to lose, what was the other one? I think it was Colosseum. If I go ahead and lose my library, which I don't really need anymore, happy to give that up. Yeah, so engineering, I went engineering here because that would have, I think that got me, like, it saved me 5 rocks on those 2 things. I could have gone movies and then built the movie instead, but I went engineering because I also value, like, the late game actions a lot, and engineering is going to save me 3 actions. Actually, not 3, 2 actions, because I have engineering genius. It's also, I don't know, I was also thinking, like, impact of science, but I was also forgetting that I definitely have impact of science. So I don't know, maybe movies was a better choice there just for the +1 culture. But then again, when you're Einstein, you kind of want all the science you can get, and you don't really, you value those things differently, I think, when you're Einstein. Impact of happiness. So yeah, I could have built that movie there. That would have been a little better, but at least I did build a organized religion. Oh, so that is way better than as far as that goes. So yeah, I was able to catch that just on time because I had a second organized religion. I have impact of technology in hand, which is of course amazing for my position, and impact of architecture is good. Impact of culture I already played, that's in there. He goes for Manhattan Project. So I don't know if he has impact of strength, but that did make me think he might. And so I'm going to go ahead and build another cannon, I think, here. Impact of wonders, that's one that he played. Next up is impact of population, which is something I'm doing pretty well on him, mostly because I took his selective breeding. There's mechanized agriculture. Of course, it shows up at the very end when somebody hate picks selective breeding. That's just how it works. So I have one more turn after this, and my decision here is how am I going to use Einstein, really. I've got impact of tech, so I want to get a lot of techs out. Every time I research something, it's 7 points. Interesting decision here with selective breeding. I can research that for 3 points from Einstein, but it's not worth the 7 as it would be if it was an H3 tech. So I do a little math here, and I think, okay, well, I have this much science, and what does that leave me with? Can I get away with selective breeding? Is that going to be more points, or is that going to be less points because I have less science? That's the kind of math I was doing here, trying to maximize that. And yeah, I do go ahead and research selective breeding just for those 3 points. Variety and balance, which is true. Balance, I'll do okay with. Architecture, I'm at +8. Balance, I think his science is still at, I forgot. I think balance is pretty good. I only have 1 more card left to play though, so I have to choose the best one. I believe I went with architecture, but we'll see in a second. Okay, so his science is at 4. So yeah, it's his food. Balance, I think, is a good choice here because his food's at 2. Final turn of the weekly duel. So he did get that Manhattan Project built, so he's at 23. So the cannon was worth 8 points for me. So yeah, without the cannon, I would have been weaker. Again, I don't know if he had impact of strength. I haven't seen it. Here I'm going for that extra fast food miner. It's another 2 points for fast food. There's 24. And then I'm thinking about, I did play balance, so I'm just upgrading. I upgraded a farm just for a little bit better balance. And that's it for my turn. So we'll see what khyung does here, and then we'll go to the impacts. Khyung did come back on science towards the end. Didn't quite match my science of 15, but it is hard to match Einstein on science. There's not a whole lot he can do except for movies at this point. Movies, disband a swordsman maybe? Oh, he goes for the revolution. Okay. So there's technology for 20, balance for 10, government for -1. He played that. I played culture for 10, and there it is. So that is the game. Let me pause it here because it'll go away. And yeah, so if you want to get in on this, it's a lot of fun. This is a way to have a competitive blitz duel that where you kind of know that you're going to get somebody who's around your skill level. That's the idea, is that you're going to show up and you're going to have somebody to play against that is around your skill and is not going to abandon, because they do punish people who abandon. Like if you abandon once, it's like you timed out. Okay, I just assume you timed out. If you abandon twice in a row, though, you're going to be removed from the tournament. So that's how I keep the players base active and engaged. And I think it's a good way to